Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez stared at the rejection letter on her desk, reading it for the third time, as if the words might somehow change. The answer was still the same. Her request for transfer to a combat unit had been denied. Again. She crumpled the paper in her fist and tossed it into the waste bin. This was the fourth rejection in 6 months. Each time, the reasons were different, but the underlying message was always the same. Despite her exceptional marksmanship scores, despite her top rankings at sniper school, despite her unwavering dedication, she was being kept away from the front lines. Emma had joined the military 5 years ago with a clear goal: to serve her country in the most meaningful way possible. She excelled in every training program, particularly in long-range precision shooting. Her instructors called her a natural, someone with the rare combination of steady nerves, sharp eyes, and the ability to calculate complex variables in seconds. At the shooting range, she consistently outperformed 90% of her male counterparts. But none of that seemed to matter. She was currently assigned to a support role at a forward operating base in a conflict zone, training other soldiers in marksmanship and maintaining weapon systems. Important work, certainly, but not what she'd trained for. Not what she knew she was capable of doing. Her commanding officer, Colonel Patterson, was a traditionalist who believed women didn't belong in direct combat roles. He never said it explicitly, at least not in official communications, but Emma could read between the lines. Every time she submitted a transfer request, it ended up on his desk, and every time he found a reason to deny it. The other soldiers respected Emma's skills. They came to her for advice on improving their shooting technique. They trusted her knowledge about weapons and tactics. But respect and opportunity were two different things. A combat veteran who'd served 3 tours, he found Emma in the armory later that afternoon, methodically cleaning rifles with more force than necessary. "Another rejection?" he asked, leaning against the door frame. Emma didn't look up. "How did you guess?" "You only clean weapons like you're mad at them when Patterson shoots down another transfer request." Marcus pulled up a chair and sat down. "Emma, I've seen you shoot. You're better than half the snipers in my old unit. This is ridiculous." "Tell that to the colonel," Emma muttered. "According to him, I'm more valuable here training others than I would be out there doing the actual job." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "You know, it's not about your abilities, right? It's about his outdated views." "I know," Emma said, finally meeting his eyes. "But knowing that doesn't change anything. I've followed every rule, exceeded every standard. I'm still stuck here while less qualified people get the assignments I want." "Something will change," Marcus said. "It has to. People like Patterson can't hold back people like you forever." Emma wanted to believe him, but 5 years of fighting against the same wall had worn down her optimism. She'd proven herself 100 times over, and it still wasn't enough. How many more times would she have to prove her worth before someone gave her a real chance? That night, Emma lay in her bunk staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow would be another day of training soldiers who would go out and do the work she was trained for. Another day of watching opportunities go to others. Another day of wondering if her dream of serving in combat would ever become reality. She didn't know that everything was about to change. That within 48 hours, her skills would be put to the test in a way that would prove once and for all what she was truly capable of achieving. The alarm cut through the night at 0300 hours. Emma jerked awake as red emergency lights flooded the barracks. All around her, soldiers scrambled out of their bunks, grabbing gear and weapons. Something was seriously wrong. "All personnel report to the command center immediately," the announcement blared through the speakers. "This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Emma pulled on her uniform and boots in record time, her heart pounding. In her 5 years on base, she'd never heard that level of urgency in a wake-up call. She grabbed her sidearm and joined the stream of soldiers, rushing toward the command center. The briefing room was chaos when she arrived. Officers shouted into radios while digital maps on the wall screens showed red markers indicating hostile positions. Colonel Patterson stood at the center of it all, his face grave as he coordinated responses.
"Ow."
He barked as the room gradually quieted. 30 minutes ago. Gah. A convoy carrying humanitarian aid workers came under attack approximately 15 clicks northeast of our position. The convoy includes 2 American doctors, 3 nurses, and local staff. They're pinned down in a village with limited cover, taking heavy fire from insurgent forces in the surrounding hills. The room erupted in urgent whispers. Emma felt her stomach tighten. "Civilian lives at risk," Patterson continued. "We're mounting a rescue operation immediately. Captain Morrison will lead the ground team. Lieutenant Hayes, you'll provide air support coordination? We need eyes in those hills to identify sniper positions before our people move in." Sir Morrison spoke up. "Our primary sniper team is out on patrol. They won't be back for another 6 hours." Patterson's jaw clenched. "What about secondary? Johnson twisted his ankle yesterday during training. He's in the medical tent." Tense silence fell over the room. Without sniper support, the rescue mission would be significantly more dangerous. The soldiers going in would be exposed to enemy fire from elevated positions without proper reconnaissance or cover. Emma's hand shot up. Before she could second-guess herself, "Sir, I can do it." Every head in the room turned toward her. Patterson's eyes narrowed. "Rodriguez, this isn't a training exercise." "I'm aware of that, sir. I'm also the best shot on this base right now. You need someone who can identify and neutralize threats from distance. That's exactly what I'm trained to do." Patterson looked like he wanted to argue, but Captain Morrison cut in. "Colonel, she's right. Rodriguez has the highest marks in precision shooting. If our regular team isn't available, she's our next best option." Another officer nodded. "Sir, we don't have time to debate this. Those civilians are in immediate danger. Every minute we wait, the situation gets worse." Emma held Patterson's gaze steadily. She could see the internal conflict playing across his face. His prejudices were warring with the tactical reality of the situation. They needed a skilled sniper, and she was the only one available. Finally, Patterson gave a sharp nod. "Fine, Rodriguez, you'll provide overwatch for the rescue team. But you follow orders exactly, understood? No heroics, yes, sir. Morrison, brief her on the situation and get your team ready to move out. You have 15 minutes. The room exploded into coordinated action. Emma followed Captain Morrison to a detailed map of the area. He pointed to various positions, explaining the layout quickly and efficiently.
Ow.
"The convoy is here, in this village. The terrain is rocky with limited vegetation. The insurgents have positioned themselves in these hills here, here, and here. At least 3 sniper positions we've identified so far, possibly more. Your job is to spot threats and eliminate any that pose immediate danger to my team as we extract the civilians." Emma studied the map, her mind automatically calculating distances, angles, and sight lines. "What's the extraction plan? We go in with 2 armored vehicles. Fast insertion, load the civilians, fast extraction. The problem is this narrow road here. We're exposed for approximately 400 meters with no cover. That's where you come in. We need you to make sure nothing hits us during that vulnerable stretch." Emma nodded. "I'll need a spotter," Williams volunteered. "He'll be with you." Of course, Marcus had volunteered. Emma felt a rush of gratitude for her friend. Having someone she trusted watching her back would make all the difference. "Load out with whatever weapons and equipment you need. We move out in 10 minutes. Emma rushed to the armory, her hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was it. This was the moment she'd been training for, fighting for, waiting for. Lives depended on her skills now. She couldn't afford to fail. She selected her preferred rifle, a weapon she knew intimately from countless hours of practice. Every scratch, every quirk, every tiny adjustment needed for perfect accuracy. She loaded magazines, checked her scope, and gathered additional equipment with practiced efficiency. Marcus met her at the armory entrance, his own gear ready. "You good?" "I'm good," Emma confirmed. "Let's go save some lives." The helicopter ride to the observation point took 12 minutes. Emma sat with her rifle across her lap, breathing steadily, centering herself. Beside her, Marcus checked their communication equipment and surveyed the terrain through night vision goggles as they approached. Below them, muzzle flashes lit up the darkness near the village. The sound of gunfire was audible, even over the helicopter rotors. The civilians were still under heavy attack, The pilot found a landing spot on a ridge overlooking the area, approximately 800 meters from the village. It was the perfect vantage point. High enough for clear sight lines, but far enough to remain undetected by the enemy forces. Emma and Marcus jumped out, keeping low as the helicopter lifted off again. The night air was cold and dry. Emma immediately began setting up her position, finding stable ground and adjusting her rifle on its bipod. Marcus settled in beside her with spotting scope and rangefinder. Through her scope, Emma surveyed the battlefield. The village was small, just a cluster of buildings around a central square. 2 damaged vehicles sat in the middle, their tires blown out. She could see figures huddled behind the vehicles and inside doorways. The civilians. Targets in the hills, Marcus said quietly, scanning with his scope. I count at least 4 shooters. 3 o'clock position, elevation approximately 110 meters. 6 o'clock position, elevation 135. 9 o'clock, elevation 120. 12 o'clock, elevation 140. Emma shifted her rifle, locating each position Marcus called out. She could see the muzzle flashes, brief blooms of light in the darkness. The insurgents had good positions. High ground with clear fields of fire covering all approaches to the village. Her radio crackled. Overwatch, this is ground team. We're 5 minutes out. Status report, Emma keyed her mic. Ground team, Overwatch. I have eyes on 4 confirmed hostile positions, advising approach from the western route. It provides maximum cover from current enemy locations. Copy that, Overwatch. Western approach. Keep us updated. Emma felt the familiar calm settling over her, the mental state she entered when shooting. Everything else faded away. Her frustrations, her anger at being denied combat duty, her nervousness about this being her first real combat mission. All that remained was the scope, the target, and the mathematics of making an impossible shot possible. Wind speed 2.3 meters per second. Direction northeast, Marcus reported. Temperature dropping. Range 2 closest targets 765 meters. Emma made micro-adjustments to her scope. At this distance, dozens of variables affected bullet trajectory. Wind, temperature, humidity, even the rotation of the earth became factors. But she'd practiced these calculations thousands of times. Her hands moved with confidence. Ground team is approaching, Marcus updated. They're about to hit the open road. Emma tracked the armored vehicles through her scope as they rumbled toward the village. They'd have to slow down on that narrow stretch Morrison had mentioned. That's when they'd be most vulnerable. A new muzzle flash erupted from the 12 o'clock position. Emma watched as rounds kicked up dust near the lead vehicle. Contact, 12 o'clock, she reported calmly. Engaging. She centered her crosshairs on the position, exhaling slowly as her finger moved to the trigger. The world narrowed to that single point of focus. She could see the shooter now, partially concealed behind rocks. His rifle aimed down at the approaching convoy. Emma squeezed the trigger. The rifle kicked against her shoulder. Through her scope, she saw the target collapse. Target down, Marcus confirmed. Good shot. But there was no time to celebrate. Another position opened fire, this time from the 3 o'clock location. Emma swung her rifle, acquired the target, adjusted for the different angle and distance, and fired again. Another hit. 2 down, Marcus said. But we've got movement. Looks like they're repositioning. Count now at 6, possibly 7 hostiles. Emma's heart rate remained steady despite the increasing complexity of the situation. This was exactly what she'd trained for. Multiple targets, dynamic battlefield, lives at stake. The ground team reached the village and soldiers poured out, immediately taking defensive positions while others rushed to the civilians. Emma kept scanning for threats, her rifle moving smoothly across potential firing positions. Contact. 6 o'clock. Marcus called urgently. He's got a bead on the extraction point. Emma found the target. A shooter on a rocky outcrop with clear line of sight to where soldiers were loading civilians into the vehicles. The range was over 800 meters, and the target was partially concealed. It would be one of the most difficult shots she'd ever attempted. She controlled her breathing, calculated the variables, and made her adjustments. The trigger pull was smooth, practiced, perfect. The insurgent fell. Outstanding shot, Marcus breathed. That was incredible. Ground team, Overwatch. You're clear for extraction. Move now. The armored vehicles began their withdrawal, loaded with rescued civilians. Emma provided continuous overwatch, scanning for any new threats. Her finger stayed near the trigger, ready to engage at any moment. As the convoy disappeared down the road toward safety, Emma finally allowed herself to exhale fully. They've done it. The civilians were safe. Emma and Marcus maintained their position for another 15 minutes, ensuring no pursuit followed the convoy. When the all-clear signal came through, they packed their equipment and prepared for extraction. The helicopter arrived moments later, and they were airborne again, heading back to base. During the flight, Emma felt the adrenaline beginning to fade, replaced by exhaustion and a strange sense of unreality. Had that really just happened? Had she actually performed her first combat mission and succeeded? Marcus grinned at her over the noise of the rotors. You were amazing out there. 4 confirmed kills at extreme range under pressure. That's going to be the talk of the base for weeks. Emma managed a tired smile. I just did what I was trained to do.
No, Marcus said seriously.
You did what you were meant to do. There's a difference. When they landed back at base, Emma expected to debrief and then collapse into her bunk for some much-needed sleep. Instead, she found a crowd gathered near the landing pad. As she climbed out of the helicopter, the soldiers began applauding. Captain Morrison approached, his hand extended. Outstanding work, Rodriguez. That was some of the finest shooting I've witnessed in 20 years of service. You saved lives tonight. Emma shook his hand, feeling overwhelmed. Thank you, sir. Just doing my job. Well, beyond just doing your job, Morrison corrected. You showed exceptional skill under extreme pressure. The rescued civilians are being checked by medics now, but they're all alive and relatively unharmed thanks to the protection you provided. Colonel Patterson emerged from the command center, his expression unreadable. The crowd quieted as he walked toward Emma. She straightened, certain what to expect from him. Patterson stopped in front of her, and to her surprise, extended his hand. Lieutenant Rodriguez, I owe you an apology. I've been wrong about you. What you did tonight demonstrated beyond any doubt that you have the skills, the composure, and the courage required for combat operations. Emma shook his hand. Too stunned to speak immediately, Patterson continued. I let my personal biases override my professional judgment. That was a failure on my part as a commander. You've proven that gender is irrelevant when it comes to combat effectiveness. All that matters is ability, and you have that in abundance. Thank you, sir, Emma finally managed to say. I appreciate that. Recommending you for a commendation, Patterson added. And I'm personally approving your transfer to a combat sniper unit. You've more than earned it. The watching soldiers erupted in cheers. Emma felt tears pricking her eyes, but blinked them back. This was what she'd fought for, worked for, dreamed about for years. Finally, someone in authority was seeing her for what she truly was capable of achieving. The next few hours passed in a blur. Emma gave her detailed debrief to the command staff, walked through every shot, every decision, every observation. The rescued doctors and nurses asked to meet her personally, thanking her with heartfelt emotion that made Emma uncomfortable. She hadn't done it for recognition or gratitude. She'd done it because people needed help, and she had the skills to provide it. One of the doctors, an older woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, gripped Emma's hands tightly. You don't understand what you did for us tonight. We thought we were going to die out there. My colleague has 3 children waiting for him at home. The nurses, they're so young, their whole lives ahead of them. You gave us all a second chance. You gave our families their loved ones back. Emma's voice was thick when she replied. I'm just glad everyone made it out safely. Later, alone in the armory, Emma methodically cleaned her rifle. The familiar ritual helped ground her after the intensity of the night. She ran the cleaning rod through the barrel, wiped down the stock, checked every mechanism with careful attention. Marcus found her there, as she'd expected he would. He sat down without speaking, just being present while she worked. After a few minutes of comfortable silence, he spoke.
Wow. How does it feel?
Finally getting what you've been fighting for? Emma considered the question carefully. Honestly, it feels surreal. I've imagined this moment so many times, but now that it's here, I don't quite know what to feel. Relief? Validation? Pride? How about all of the above? Marcus suggested. You earned this, Emma. Not just tonight, but through years of dedication and refusing to give up when people kept telling you no. I couldn't have done it without support from people like you, Emma said. You believed in me when others didn't. I believed in you because your skills spoke for themselves, Marcus replied. Tonight you made sure everyone else heard that message loud and clear. Emma finished cleaning her rifle and secured it properly. As she stood, Marcus stood with her. Get some rest, he advised. Tomorrow starts a new chapter. Combat duty, real assignments, everything you've been preparing for. Emma nodded, but she knew sleep would be difficult tonight. Her mind was too active, replaying every moment of the mission, analyzing what she'd done right and what she could improve. That was who she was, always striving to be better, to push further, to meet the next challenge. The next morning brought unexpected attention. Emma woke to find her name trending on military news networks. Someone had leaked details about the rescue mission and her role in it. Headlines read, "Female sniper saves humanitarian workers," and Lieutenant Rodriguez's heroic shots. She hadn't done this for media attention. The focus on her gender particularly bothered her. The headlines should have read, "Skilled sniper completes mission without needing to specify that the sniper was a woman." Her gender was irrelevant to her marksmanship, but the attention brought something unexpected. Messages from other female soldiers across different bases. Young women who'd faced similar obstacles, who'd been told they weren't suited for combat roles, who'd been fighting the same battles Emma had fought. They thanked her for proving what was possible. They told her she'd inspired them to keep pushing forward. One message particularly struck Emma. It was from a 19-year-old private named Jessica who'd just started sniper training. "I almost quit last week because my instructor kept telling me women don't have what it takes for precision shooting. Then I heard about what you did. You showed that skill matters, not gender. You gave me the courage to keep going. Thank you." Emma stared at that message for a long time. She'd never thought of herself as a role model or inspiration. She just wanted to do her job, to serve effectively. But apparently, whether she wanted it or not, her actions had meaning beyond just the mission itself. The formal commendation ceremony took place 3 days later. Emma stood in her dress uniform while Patterson pinned a medal to her chest and read the citation aloud. The language was formal and military, describing her actions in technical terms. But the meaning was clear. She had performed with exceptional skill under combat conditions. After the ceremony, a general from headquarters pulled Emma aside. General Catherine Walsh was a legend in the military, one of the highest-ranking women in the armed forces. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, I've been following your career for some time," Walsh said. "Your performance has been consistently excellent, and what you did during that rescue operation was extraordinary. I want to offer you a position in an elite sniper unit that's being formed. It will involve advanced training and higher-risk assignments." Emma's pulse quickened. "I'd be honored, ma'am." "There's something else," Walsh continued. "We're also starting a program to train more female snipers. The military is finally recognizing that we've been excluding talented soldiers based on outdated prejudices. I'd like you to be part of that program as both an operator and occasionally as an instructor. You'd help shape the next generation of female combat soldiers." Emma felt the weight of that responsibility. "Ma'am, I'm not sure I'm qualified to train others. I'm still relatively early in my own career." "You're qualified because you've lived through the obstacles they'll face," Walsh replied. "You understand what it takes to succeed despite the institutional resistance. That experience is invaluable." Emma thought about Jessica's message and the dozens of others like it. Maybe her role was bigger than just being a good sniper. Maybe she could help open doors for others the way people like Marcus had helped open doors for her. "I accept, ma'am." "Thank you for this opportunity," Walsh smiled. "Thank you for your service, Lieutenant. You've already made a significant impact. I believe you're going to continue making a difference for years to come." That evening, Emma walked to the spot where she'd first set up her position during the rescue mission. The ridge was quiet now, peaceful. She could see the village in the distance, lights twinkling in windows. Life had returned to normal there, families safe because of the actions taken that night. Marcus joined her, as he so often did. Thinking deep thoughts? Trying to process everything that's happened, Emma admitted. A week ago, I was being denied transfers and wondering if I'd ever get a real chance. Now I've got a position in an elite unit and a role training other soldiers. It's overwhelming. You're going to do great, Marcus said with confidence. You've always been exceptional, Emma. Now everyone else finally sees it too. I just hope I can live up to the expectations, Emma said quietly. So many people are watching now. Other female soldiers are looking to me as an example. What if I fail? What if I let them down? Marcus turned to face her directly. Listen to me. You're going to face challenges. You're going to have tough days. But you're also going to succeed because you're talented, dedicated, and you refuse to quit. Those qualities don't change just because more people are paying attention. Emma nodded slowly. He was right, of course. She couldn't let fear of failure or the weight of others' expectations paralyze her. She had to keep moving forward, keep improving, keep proving that ability mattered more than outdated stereotypes. Besides, Marcus added with a grin, you've got me watching your back. Between your shooting skills and my tactical brilliance, we're unstoppable. Emma laughed, feeling some of the tension ease. Your tactical brilliance. Is that what we're calling it? Hey, I called out those target positions perfectly during the mission, Marcus protested in mock offense. Show some respect for your spotter. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the desert landscape. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new responsibilities, new opportunities. But tonight, Emma allowed herself to simply enjoy this moment of peace and the satisfaction of knowing she'd finally achieved what she'd been fighting for. 6 months later, Emma stood in a training facility watching a group of female recruits practice long-range shooting. She'd completed her advanced training with the elite unit and was now splitting her time between operational assignments and instructional duties. The young woman on the firing line, Private Jessica Martinez, was the same soldier who'd sent Emma that encouraging message months ago. She'd made it through sniper school and was now part of the advanced program. Emma watched as Jessica adjusted her position, controlled her breathing, and took her shot. The target indicator showed a near-perfect hit. Excellent work, Martinez, Emma called out. Your breathing control has improved significantly. Jessica beamed with pride as she stood up. Thank you, ma'am. I've been practicing the techniques you've demonstrated. Emma walked over, examining Jessica's rifle positioning. You're doing well, but remember to keep your shoulder more relaxed. Tension creates micro-movements that affect accuracy at extreme range. As Jessica made the adjustment and prepared for another shot, Emma reflected on how much had changed since that night 6 months ago. She'd participated in 14 combat operations since then, each one reinforcing her skills and building her reputation. The elite unit had welcomed her completely, judging her solely on her performance. Gender never came up in mission briefings or after-action reports. She was simply Rodriguez, a skilled sniper who got results. But it was this work, training the next generation, that Emma found unexpectedly rewarding. These young women faced many of the same obstacles she'd encountered. Some had instructors who doubted them. Some dealt with male soldiers who resented their presence. Some struggled with their own self-doubt. Wondering if they truly belonged in combat roles, Emma could help with all of that because she'd lived through it. She could share not just shooting techniques, but also strategies for handling institutional resistance, for maintaining confidence in the face of doubt, for proving themselves through undeniable performance after the training session ended. Emma met with General Walsh to discuss the program's progress. They sat in Walsh's office, reviewing performance metrics and discussing expansion plans. The program is exceeding expectations, Walsh said, looking at the data. Graduation rates are high, performance scores are excellent, and the graduates are successfully integrating into combat units. You've done outstanding work building this, Lieutenant. Thank you, ma'am. But the credit belongs to the soldiers themselves. They're talented and dedicated. They just needed the opportunity. Walsh smiled. That's exactly the right attitude. Speaking of opportunities, I have news. You're being promoted to captain. The promotion will be effective next month. Emma felt a surge of pride. Captain at 28 was impressive by any standard. I'm honored, ma'am. Thank you. You've earned it, Walsh replied. Your combat record speaks for itself, and your work developing this training program has been invaluable. But there's more. We're expanding the program significantly. We want to train female snipers for every branch of service, not just Army. You're being assigned as the program director. Emma's eyes widened. That was a massive responsibility, shaping sniper training across all military branches. Ma'am, I'm not sure I'm ready for that level of command. You're ready, Walsh said firmly. You have the operational experience, the teaching ability, and most importantly, the credibility. When you tell young female soldiers they can succeed in combat roles, they believe you because you've done it. That's powerful. Yeah. Emma thought about all the women she'd trained over the past 6 months. She thought about Jessica and the dozens of others like her. Talented soldiers who just needed someone to believe in them and give them a real chance. She thought about her own struggles and how different her career might have been if someone like her had been there to guide her from the beginning. I accept, ma'am. I'll do my best to build something meaningful. I know you will, Walsh said. That's why I chose you. Later that evening, Emma met Marcus at their usual spot overlooking the base. She told him about the promotion and the new assignment. Captain Rodriguez, Marcus said with a grin, has a nice ring to it. And program director? That's huge, Emma. You're going to shape the future of female combat soldiers across the entire military. It's terrifying, Emma admitted. What if I mess it up? What if the program fails? It won't fail, Marcus said with certainty. You know why? Because you're building it on the right foundation, skill, dedication, and merit. You're not asking for special treatment or lowered standards. You're just demanding fair opportunities for people to prove what they're capable of. That's exactly what the military needs. Emma nodded, feeling her confidence returning. He was right. She wasn't trying to revolutionize the military or force dramatic changes. She was simply opening doors that should have been open all along, allowing talented soldiers to serve in roles that match their abilities regardless of gender. Remember that night 6 months ago? Emma asked. When I took that shot from the ridge, I was so nervous, so certain I'd mess it up and prove everyone right who said I didn't belong in combat. But you didn't mess it up, Marcus reminded her. You succeeded. And then you succeeded again and again. That's who you are, Emma. Someone who rises to challenges. Emma smiled, looking out over the desert landscape that had become so familiar. That shot changed everything. It opened the door I'd been trying to get through for years. No, Marcus corrected gently. That shot just made people finally see what was always there. Your skill, your courage, your dedication, those things existed long before that night. The shot just made them impossible to ignore. Emma realized he was right. She hadn't become a good sniper that night. She'd already been a good sniper. She'd simply been given the chance to demonstrate it in a way that couldn't be dismissed or explained away. As they sat together watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky, Emma felt at peace with her journey. The path hadn't been easy. She'd faced rejection, prejudice, and institutional resistance. But she'd persevered, and in doing so, she'd helped open doors for countless other women who would come after her. That single shot had saved 20 lives that night. But in the months since, Emma had come to understand that its impact reached far beyond that one mission. It had changed perceptions, challenged prejudices, and proven that combat effectiveness had nothing to do with gender and everything to do with skill, training, and determination. Emma Rodriguez had finally gotten her chance to serve in combat. And now she was making sure that other deserving soldiers would get their chances too, without having to fight as hard as she had for the opportunity. That legacy, she thought, might be even more important than any shot she'd ever taken.